Hello, welcome. This is a YouTube video. So basically, it's 12:30 in the morning on a Thursday night, and in the mania that comes with being up that late, I've decided to start a YouTube channel. I'm a semi-closeted nerd who plays a lot of D&D, and I get a lot of enjoyment out of playing unconventional builds, which generally means multi-class builds between classes that you don't see, that have different stat dependencies, etc., etc. You understand what I'm saying? By the way, I apologize if this is a super rambly video, but if you're here, thank you for being here. I appreciate it, and I hope to provide some thought-provoking builds and maybe stuff that the community will further optimize. But this is viable stuff that I'm doing. I'm not just gonna give you some bullshit. By the way, part of the reason I'm making this video is because Colby over at that one channel on YouTube, he's the blonde Chad who talks about different builds. He just came out with a multi-class Sorcerer Rogue that is a build that I've been talking about on Reddit and in different Discords and stuff for a while. And the fact that he put that video out in a way that I kind of disagreed with the way that he presented the build. At least there's some things that I would have done differently. And it just made me feel like, okay, well, I should just put this stuff on the internet because people clearly want to consume this content and are curious about what types of builds, etc., etc., whatever. Let's move on. Let's get into this shit. So basically, here's the build. Level 1. For race, you're going to go Dark Elf. Well, actually, let's just pull back. Let's talk about what this build is. This build is, as I mentioned before, Sorcerer Rogue. It's going to be a melee build, but you're going to be kind of weak, I'll be honest with you, in terms of your armor class slash, HP. But given the right party comp, that's okay, and your damage is going to be good, and you're going to have a great spell list. You're not going to have great... You're going to be behind on spellcasting progression. And that's what makes this build pretty unconventional, is that you don't really see a rogue sorcerer multiclass in especially this approach because of the lacking spell progression. But we're going to make up for it with a level of sort of versatility that you wouldn't otherwise get with a martial. And if you play a lot of D&D, you know that Gish builds don't really hold up against pure martial slash pure spellcasters. In fact, pure spellcasters are the most optimal builds. But if you're tired of just, playing in that sort of a way and you want to do something creative, but that is also viable, this is definitely a great way to go. So let's get into it. Again, level 1. For our race, we're going Dark Elf. Now, as an elf, you get a bunch of elf shit. You get, Fey Ancestry, Trance, Keen Senses. Not that important. For Dark Elf, you get a few things. You get some nice cantrips or spells or whatever as part of your race. Not important. This is the key. You get proficiency in rapiers. Yeah, right? I know what you're thinking. I need to click out of this video. No. That is going to allow us to take Sorcerer at first level and not really worry about... Okay, let me back up a little bit. If you were to take Rogue at first level, which would be really the optimal choice if you weren't going Dark Elf, that would mean that you get Rapier. Okay, listen, if you go Sorcerer, basically you're stuck with a dagger, alright? And this is a martial build, and that. You're going Dark Elf, you're taking Rapiers, and it's going to make your life a lot easier. In addition to that, you're going to go Sorcerer, which means that you have Constitution saving throw proficiencies. And that is not central to this build, meaning that we're not going to cast a lot of concentration. Oh wait, actually, I take that back. That is a major part of the build. So, moving on. As I said, Dark Elf, class, Sorcerer. And that's going to give us a few things, right? That's going to give us, like I said, the concentration saving throw proficiency. I'm looking up 5e-wiki.sorcerer. It's going to tell me what else happens. Oh, right, we get spells. And we get our fucking, our class thing, or whatever, your subclass. Now, Divine Soul, probably a good choice. Great choice, actually. But if you're going to take this build to a high level, I actually think that the Aberrant Mind... I mean, not Aberrant Mind. Clockwork Soul Sorcerer is going to be your best bet here. And that's because you get a far better spell list. You have the thing where you can switch out the spells that the Clockwork spells give you for like Warlock, Wizard, Sorcerer, Transmutation / Abjuration spells. You know, you understand. And that's going to allow you to get way more spells and have a good spell list. And like that's the problem with sorcerers, right? Is they don't get great spells. What you have to keep in mind with this particular build is that we're not going to have great stats. We're not going to have great like spell casting power. So you're going to want to take spells that either don't require saving throws or work either way, or like whatever. You don't want Saver Sucks. You're not going to be dealing high damage. Like we're not throwing fireballs, and like it's not that kind of build. You'll soon see where this build comes online, but just keep that in mind going forward. So as you pick spells, cantrip wise, I would take a ranged cantrip just to have, like, take Firebolt. Definitely take Minor Illusion, one of the best spells in the game. There's lots of videos on YouTube about why this is one of the best spells in the game. D&D Lounge or Treant Monk or whoever. They'll tell you all about it. In fact, we're going to take this build to whatever level, 3rd level, before we dip into Rogue. And that's going to give us up to, I believe, 2nd level spells, right? I've played the game before, yeah. 2nd level spells and meta magic. For meta magic, you're going to want to pick 2 things. You're going to definitely take Quicken spell. That is a must. You need it. Number 2 is you're probably going to also take Subtle spell, just because it's fucking cool and like you can do interesting shit with it, but also it allows you to effectively cast with 2 things in your hand if you really needed to do that. You don't with this build, but like if you wanted to, that would be an option. I just think it's cool. It fits the style of the build. It's an awesome meta magic. It's cheap, and you kind of need cheap meta magic. So whatever. Moving on. Level 4, you're going Rogue. And you're going to go Rogue up to level 6, which is going to bring you at 3 Rogue and 3 Sorcerer. At 3rd level in Rogue... Oh, wait, my bad. We got to go back to Sorcerer because we got 2nd level spells. I'm not going to tell you every spell you should take. There are some certain grabs, like if I'm just looking at the list. First of all, from our subclass, we're going to get Aid, which is great as a sorcerer because like you're not supposed to have Aid, and it's an amazing spell. We're also going to get from our subclass that reaction that lets you prevent advantage or something dumb like that, but it's useful sometimes. Spell-wise, I talked about the cantrips. You're taking Booming Blade, and you're taking Green Flame Blade. These are musts. So I think you get 5 cantrips. That's Booming Blade, Green Flame Blade. You're also taking probably Firebolt and Minor Illusion. Let's pretend you have 1 more. I don't know if you do or don't. Let's take like Shocking Grasp or maybe Message or maybe Mage Hand, or it doesn't matter. For spells, let's quickly go through it. 1st level, you're going to be in combat, so you're going to need probably Absorb Elements is a good spell to take. Shield, must have. What am I thinking? Not going through these fucking spells. Silvery Barbs, if it's available to you, not a bad spell to get. 2nd level, here's the key. Big one. Flaming effing Sphere. So now we're 3rd level sorcerer. We're taking Flaming Sphere. You have to. You don't have a choice. It's a great spell, and it's massively underrated. It's a 5-foot sphere, and your enemy makes it's anybody within 5 feet of it takes a dex saving throw, and then takes 2d6 damage on a failed save. It's fire damage. A lot of shit has resistance to fire damage. Doesn't matter. You know, you're a fucking Chad. And then you can move it up to whatever, 2d6 feet or whatever, 30 feet with a bonus action. And let's talk a little bit about strategy. Here's basically the key. You're 3rd level sorcerer. You don't want to be in combat. Your armor's crap. You probably have mage armor, but even then, you're still in a bad position, right? And I should have mentioned that. You also need mage armor. You know, strat-wise, at 3rd level, you're probably a subpar sorcerer, all things considered. But at the same time, you are a sorcerer and you do have spells and they are effective. They don't synergize well thus far, but using the other known spells that I haven't mentioned, like your other ones that you can take shit that you can use at those levels and replace them later. But strategy-wise, when the time comes, we're going to be going into combat with our rapier. We're going to be hitting with our rapier. We're going to be meta-magicking a quickened flame blade. A quickened flaming spear next to the enemy that we've attacked, forcing them to either move out and take the extra 1d8 damage, or roll a dex save and take the 2d6 fire damage. It's a pretty good deal, right? Because now, if they move, then you get another opportunity attack, or you get a opportunity attack. So really, that's possibly 2d8 damage versus 2d6. It's going to incentivize them to stay and take the 2d6 damage. See where I'm coming from? See why, Colby, I mean, I love the guy. He's certainly attractive, but he missed out on this kind of interesting synergy here that seems pretty naturally viable and optimal in the way that this build comes together. So now fast forward to level 6. You took Rogue, you got some skill proficiencies, you got sneak attack, you got, and at 6th level you're adding an extra 2d6 in sneak attack, and you also got uncanny dodge or whatever. Or no. We have the thing where we can use our bonus action to dash or hide or disengage. Pretty nifty, especially as a spellcaster. But we're not really, we're more of a gish, whatever, we've talked about this. And as Rogue, typing in rogue wiki.5e, our multiclass at 3rd level is going to be swashbuckler. Now, that's probably obvious, you knew that was coming, but let's talk about it a little bit. It gives us fancy footwork, which means that you can get advantage, or not advantage. It means that you can leave the melee range of a creature and they can't take opportunity attacks against you. And as long as you make an attack against that creature. Or a creature. Oh, no, it is that creature. It is that creature. In addition, you get the rakish audacity, which means that you don't need advantage for sneak attack. You can just walk in, attack, sneak attack is procced, and just because you're, charisma rogue, that it works that way. Very legit, because now you can put your flaming sphere there and not really worry about allies. In addition to that, you're going to get your charisma mod added to your initiative. And right now we're sitting at 16 charisma, 16 dex. I didn't talk about stats, but it should be straightforward. You're going 16 dex, you're going 16 charisma, you're going some constitution, 14, whatever, and you're dumping the rest. Okay? So that's what we're doing. I'm pretty sure that's how point buy works, right? We can do that legally. And then at 7th level, you're finally going to get your ASI, and we're probably going to take a fucking, what's it called? A feat. And likely it's Warcaster, right? Because if we take Warcaster, we can put another knife in our hands, we can do a couple of things, yada yada, not important. Maybe Warcaster isn't the right idea. Someone can come up with something that makes sense. It's probably a feat, though. Maybe even Metamagic Adept? Does that make sense? Probably not. Something does, though. Now, let's pull back away from this build a little bit and away from this video. I know it's a terrible ramble of a video, but here's where we're at so far. Level 6, 3 rogue, 3 sorcerer. Your rapier is your bread and butter. Or rather, booming blade / green flame blade is your bread and butter with the rapier. So you're attacking with booming blade for 1d8 plus another 1d8 from the weapon plus the booming blade, plus the, I think, 2d8 if they move away from it, proccing the extra damage. In addition to that, you're getting 2d6 from your sneak attack, which is automatic given your subclass is rogue. In addition to that, you then meta magic quicken a flaming sphere, forcing the enemy to either take that procced booming blade damage or take 2d6 and fire damage. And by the way, you can upcast Flaming Sphere. It's a 2nd level spell, but remember, we're a bit behind in spellcasting progression. So, you know, I don't know if that's really going to work out. But it is available, especially as we go up in level, because now, sky's the limit. You're going rest sorcerer. You're not going to catch up in terms of spellcasting progression. You're always going to be behind. So right now, you're 3 rogue, 3 sorcerer, and let's say you have like a level 6 wizard in the party for some reason. Reason being that wizards are the best class in the game probably, but it doesn't matter. They're in the party and they have bigger spells and they're like throwing fireballs and whatever. But even fireball, right? What is that? 8d6 damage on a dex save? You're walking in, you're doing 1d8 plus 1d8, so 2d8, plus 2d6, right? Plus another 2d8 or 2d6. And that's not bad, right? And in addition to that, you have utility spells and you have reaction spells that'll protect you in combat. So that's why I'm here, and that's why we're talking about it. And that's basically the end of the story, because I haven't thought this build through. I certainly haven't thought the video through, right? So that's as much as I'm really prepared to talk about at 1 in the morning. But as I'm scrolling up and down the wiki dot, you know, there's a lot you could do here. Let's go up to like 3rd level spells maybe and like just look briefly at what's going on. Here's another element of this build that you have to consider, is that as long as you have meta magic, which you're not going to have much of because you don't have a lot of slots, but you can convert your slots into meta magic, meaning if your flaming sphere stays around, you're using your bonus action to move it around sometimes maybe, but other than that, you can quicken spells. And if they're not concentration spells, you know, good on you, right? Blink, not a concentration spell, right? That's 3rd level, but still, you can still take counter spell. You can do things that are fucking, you know, sorcery. Now, popular belief might tell you, hey, I should be taking haste, and I should be readying my action to attack on my opponent's turn and proc another booming blade or whatever, you know, or proc another sneak attack as a reaction. There's a few things wrong with that. One is you're giving up your reaction, which is necessary on a build like this for multiple reasons. One, your Clockwork Soul ability is going to allow you to utilize that reaction. Number 2, you are intending for, or you're incentivizing or provoking, at least with Flaming Sphere, and as you progress in levels in other ways, you're provoking your enemy to leave your reach. Doing so will proc the fucking attack, right? So you want to save this opportunity attack, or this reaction for an opportunity attack. Or if you're not doing the clockwork thing, and or you're going to need it for shield, which you're not casting every turn, I understand, but your reaction on a build like this is more valuable than it would be on other builds. You're going to be making more use of it. Now, you can also do this other thing given Swashbuckler. You can walk away after you attack, incentivizing them to proc the booming blade. But again, think about the way that you're using Flaming Sphere on this build, because it really is a tool for you to proc that Booming Blade in addition to the fancy footwork that lets you leave combat, or whatever the fucking ability is. Yeah, and so at 3rd level, you know, you get some shit, and so on and so forth. But, you know, it's a cool build, right? I should have thought it through more, but I think this is basically good. Flaming Sphere, Booming Blade, Sneak Attack, Swashbuckler, Walk Away, do what you want. You're mobile. You got a rapier. What's our armor class with mage armor? Not great. Mage armor does something. 13 plus dex, so 16. Our armor class is garbage. Oh my god. But we're a Chad. In addition to armor class being garbage, our health is garbage. So maybe with that feat, we're doing some sort of health thing. Yeah, just boosting your con? No, hell no. Find something creative to do with that feat. This build has a lot of potential, okay? The optimizers in this community will suppress this. They'll say, no, this is worthless. It's a waste of your time. The math doesn't work out. They're wrong. Don't listen to them. Tree It Monk, whoever, they don't know what they're talking about. They're just pros. You know what I mean? Anyway, thank you for being here. If you made it this far, what the hell are you doing? If you didn't, I love you. And if you did, again, what's wrong with you? But I love you too. Thank you for being here. I hope this build at least provided some sort of something of value. And if you have comments on how to really actually make this build optimal, please put those in the comments. If you have any comment, put that in the comments. But you know, I'm more interested obviously in like, can this build be real? And it can. I've played it, it's good. I haven't played it to 20th level, but I played it to 9th, and it works. It definitely works. It definitely keeps up in terms of damage, and you're also doing other things. You have spells, you have aid, you have fucking spells to choose from that are gonna allow you to really do a lot of different things. You're in combat, and then you're casting like fucking, you know. Let me go to the list. Okay, give me a minute. By the way, I'm sure there's a great way to utilize, if it's not Clockwork Soul, like Aberrant Mind or whatever, one of these like spell lists to make this build even more optimal by taking some spell that I'm not thinking of. But you know, dispel magic, and no one cares. There are spells. That's the point. You have them, use them. It's a versatile build. Yeah, you're behind in progression, but you're in combat and you're doing cool shit, and no one else is doing cool shit. And you know, every once in a while, I mean, you can walk around with another dagger and bonus action. No, that wouldn't work. But anyway, thank you for being here. I love you. Good night. I'm gonna go to bed. This was fun. Appreciate it. Thanks.